guys, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Battlefield. As you can see, if you're watching this live, recorded on twitch.tv, we are missing one of our key members. Izzy is not with us today, but this is episode 13. We're calling it In the Dark. The Night DLC just dropped, and with me today I have my boy Flakfire.
Hey everyone, it's Flakfire. I'm Flakfire Gaming on YouTube, so youtube.com/Flakfire Gaming.
I also got my boy Mambo.
Hello everybody, happy Sunday, happy 4th of July weekend here in the States. Mambo B coming at you from Twitch TV.
Right, and I'm your host, Echo Limits, twitch.tv/Echo Limits, and EKOLIMITS. And we had an awesome show for you guys today. We all picked one topic each to talk about, and there's a lot to talk about, right? So I'm gonna give you guys the rundown before I jump into anything else. Let me kind of encourage you guys, the ones who watch on iTunes, if you haven't done so already, we are recording these podcasts. We are putting them up on YouTube. If you haven't seen Flakfire's channel, you should see the recordings there if you want to be part of that discussion. If you're not around for the live part. If you're on iTunes, make sure you rate us. You can find us there by just searching. I think if you search Echo Limits, you probably see that there because I'm the one who posted it there. But you can probably also find it by searching Battlefield. All right, so today's topics. The way the podcast works is we have chosen a topic each, and we're going to kind of discuss it. And at the end, you guys will have a chance to be a part of the discussion, specifically if you're live. And we do have listener mail as well. All right, the first topic we have today is by Flak. What changes should DICE make to map rotations and servers? The second topic is by Mambo. The night map just released, and we're going to talk impressions and any changes that we feel are necessary. And the last topic is by me, and it is why is it the thoughts on the new Battlepack system just released, and can it be improved? So those are our topics, which will be followed by live listener mail and listener comments. So gentlemen, shall we just jump into it?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So Flak, take away the topic. We're talking about what changes should DICE make to map rotations and servers.
Well, this is a topic that I figured is good to mention since we're coming up on, we're going to have the new Priesthood Tour map coming out in July. We're going to have Love Cow Pass in August, and then the bulk of the Russian DLC in September. So we're going to have, kind of a crazy influx of maps here. Premium Friends is still running through Gamescom, so there's, almost another month of another 2 months of Premium Friends going. So you're going to have a lot of people who are going to be trying to play these maps. And the way that I look at it, I really wish Battlefield would do something a little bit more streamlined, something that has a little bit more variety, right, when we're talking about maps in Battlefield 1. So, for example, for the vanilla maps, they added front lines to Amiens and to Argonne Forest, right?
That is pretty awesome that they went back and done that.
And, there are a lot of people who maybe, haven't played front lines, who own the regular vanilla version of the game. And I was thinking, I was playing Lawbreakers, actually, earlier this week, and I did enjoy that they kind of had a mixed bag system for games and game modes in terms of maps and game modes. So I was wondering, would you guys like kind of a mixed bag of maps and game modes in Battlefield 1? Something to introduce you to a game mode maybe you're not that familiar with. I kind of like that idea, and I'm curious how you think that would work, and if it would work with the kind of current system that we have in Battlefield 1, where you've got, a premium base and a non-premium player base. Do you guys remember in Battlefield 4, what was that server thing? I think it was called The Battlefield or something. There was a server rotation in Battlefield 4 that would do what you're talking about.
Sometimes we'll go rush. Sometimes we'll go small conquest because they try to keep the player count the same.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think there was a Dom.
Yeah, I've done that on my own personal server on Battlefield 4, and it ended up going to lower player count and then going back to a 64, and we lost all the players and we couldn't fill the server back up. I'm like, ah.
Yeah, but then you would probably have to do just like, okay, we're gonna do like the small game modes and have a party server, you know, where they would be like, oh, right now you're playing Dom, then you're playing TDM, then you can play Frontlines, because those are all small, and maybe War Pigeons. Those are the 4 that have the same player base. And then the big ones would be Operations and Conquest. Is there another big one? No, right?
Frontlines is 32, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's the same as TD. Well, no, TDM is 20. Hey, that's
Right.
really bizarre. They have a lot of different player counts for different game modes this time
Right.
around. Yeah.
Yeah, they try to tailor it to the map, I guess, layout.
I've also been playing a lot of Lawbreakers Flag, and I see what you mean. It keeps things interesting. But then sometimes you get that game mode you don't like. For instance, Lawbreakers, I don't like the ball mode. Even though it's voiced by Morty from Rick and Morty.
Yeah, but
That
that
guy is
game is
hilarious.
newer right now. If you put that game 8 months down the road like Battlefield 1 is right now, is it going to have the popularity or the player count to support those different mixed game modes? It may not.
Well, you see, I think there will be mixed game modes because the game is already like set out for that. You know, popularity-wise, I mean, this is a brand new IP. I doubt they're gonna have the same staying power as Battlefield has. You know, you've got years and years of Battlefield players, hardcore like us three and everybody who's watching right now. But you know, I see like the thing that got me more interested when Flack posed this question, and we're talking about the map rotations, is, yo, I don't know about you guys, Flack, you can probably tell us what's going on Xbox, but they basically broke Operations.
It's interesting because I believe it does start over, but there's no indication that it is starting over.
It's like, all right, you're in a match. The match ends. It starts a whole new thing. So there's a rotation now. It goes from map to map to map. Once you load into the second map, however, if you press the pause button on PlayStation 4, it gives you the scoreboard from the first match when you joined.
Oh,
and you glitched.
Yeah.
Does that happen on Xbox?
I can't really say if it has or not because I really don't play Operations very much because it was always a pain for me to, you know, back out at the end of a match and then go find another one. Now they changed that.
Now they have a rotation, so.
But it's still frustrating for me because I actually went and played last night. I dropped in some people in my platoons because they were playing, and I thought, oh, you know, it'll be fun to drop in on them and just kind of run around and mess with them in the game. But when the game ended, I was like, wait, I thought they put a rotation in.
And they didn't?
Well, they did, but there's no indication that it's actually going to restart again. Like,
so you think people are just quitting, anticipating?
Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of still think that it's not set to a rotation, that it'll, you know, that you'll have to leave and rejoin again. So they really need to put some kind of timer on there that says, you know, next round starting in this.
Yeah,
it wasn't there on
no, it's not
on Xbox Operations. So it's like you need to know that going into playing that game mode. Otherwise, you assume, oh, nothing has changed and I need to leave. So they need to add that in there, or, you know, tell you what your next operation is going to be. Some kind of visual cue that says, hey, the server's not ending. We're still going to keep going. And that was a minor thing that I wanted to bring up during the discussion that we're having here. So.
You know what's funny?
I noticed that bug came out when they announced that they did some changes to the Operations game mode to help people get into games. That's when the bug started happening. Yeah. I'm like, Mambo, whatever they did in that patch.
Did you see that? Did you see that tweet? It was like a behind the scenes kind of thing that they changed. It wasn't like patch came out and you have to download it. It was like, I think, a server side change on their part. And it was a tweet by, I believe, Jeff Braddock. He was just like, yo, guys, look out for the 29th. It's gonna be awesome, right? So this happens, and it was like, nobody even told you. Nobody told me. Nobody told anyone exactly what the change is. They were just like, there's a change. You're gonna like it. And then the change is there. And I just read GTR2244 in the chat says, same with PC. So this bug is not even like a console bug, which I thought it was. It literally is across all platforms.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, DICE, first you're releasing something in like uber secret. Like, okay, that's interesting.
Why wasn't it put on CTE? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't know.
Which map are we talking about? Why wasn't it put on the CT?
We're just talking about operations in general. Why
Right.
wasn't
If
that?
they're going to introduce your map rotation, they got to test that. That's what CTE designed for. Like I
Right.
said in the last podcast, they're using it for marketing. They're not using it for bugging, the game.
I don't know. I don't think it's as far as marketing. They do get bug stuff out of it. I just feel like they should be testing the behind the scenes, the stuff there. But then you think about also like, how do you incentivize people to get on a CTE? I think that's why they put a lot of like new stuff there, so they can get people to play it. Because if you go and say, hey guys, we need somebody to test the operations server thing, they'll just be like, and they're not gonna test it. So I don't know, double-edged sword there, but that should have been tested in CTE. Like map rotation for operations is so broken to the point where you can't look at the pause screen, or you're gonna have to reset your whole thing. Kind of strange. Can I say one more thing on operations for the rotation? I actually don't like that they let you only play one round. So if you're attacking on operations with the new rotation system, you don't get to defend, or vice versa. If I defend, I don't get to attack, and I'm like, what? I joined Monte Grappa because I want to play attack Monte Grappa. Instead, it puts me on defense, and like the game's almost over. And I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe we'll join up on attack now. No, it just goes to the next one. And that's it. You only play once each map.
I've been on the defending side 2 times for the same map. I'm like, what? On operations. Like, why did it put me? Because the team was out of balance, so it rebalanced, and it put me on the same defending when I was defending the game before. I was like, ah.
Do you guys remember the Battlefield 4 days of auto balance?
Oh yeah.
It kept putting me on defense.
That was so frustrating sometimes. Like you'd be doing really well, and then it would be like you are being auto balanced to the other team, and you're like, no.
You are too
Battlefield
good.
1 doesn't even tell you that it's auto balancing. It just moves you. It's like, whoa. Like if you join on a friend and you're playing and you're against your friend, all of a sudden the next respawn you're on your friend's team.
Yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, that one's funny.
Whoa.
Well, like that's fine, because obviously, like if you're trying to join on your friend, like you want to play with your friend and not against your friend. So I'm happy that it does that, and it does actually tell you. It says you're being auto balanced to the other team based on skill. It says that somewhere on the screen. I don't remember where, but normally that's at the beginning of the match and not like midway through.
All right.
So another thing with the map rotation thing, the new Nivelle Nights map, when you go to look for the map in the server browser, you may find the Nivelle Nights map playing, and you say, okay, great, I'll join on it. And then all of a sudden, you're only playing on Nivelle Nights. It's like, well, what happened to the other maps of Thou Not Shot Pass?
Yeah, that's and that's kind of what I'm talking about with this topic. Like, I wish there was a way that it was a bit more streamlined, because right now it's at the point where it's like, oh, I want to play Nivelle Nights. Well, I either have to like they did put like a quick match thing on the screen, which is good, where it's like quick match Nivelle Nights. But it's like if I want to go play Frontlines, and let's say I have vanilla, I have to go into like server browser and then click on Frontlines.
I think the DICE official servers are set to a rotation with Nivelle Nights in it. So you are going to play through all the French DLC maps, including Nivelle Nights, which is now part of it. But
I haven't
I
seen
saw
that
some
yet.
community servers that are 24/7. Are you sure you didn't click those, Mambo?
Right, but they make it look like they're official DICE servers. That's where I got stuck. I'm like, oh man, I thought I was on an official DICE server. I mean, that's nothing DICE can do about that.
Mambo, you got had.
Yeah.
No, I see what you mean. They used to do that in Battlefield 4 too, like to try to populate your server, you would try to fake put it, and then your server number would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, however numbers they were. And
yeah, it's like the
realize,
YouTubers that put out that clickbait. You know what those YouTuber guys do. You know what I mean?
Well, they're basically clickbaiting you on a Battlefield server. Wow.
Right.
But no, I think there is a a rotation built into just the dice stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, the other thing I
there
wanted
might
to...
be. I don't know.
The other thing that when we talk about map rotations is that DICE like ends up creating a lot of new content, and then they create so many separate rotations. Like right now, Frontlines just came out for 2 maps. When you join that, technically the 2 maps are their own rotation. It's so silly.
Right.
It's just 2 maps. Why couldn't we just
because the whole premium is behind a paywall, so the people that don't have premium can't go into the other They'll Not Shall Pass DLC Frontlines.
You guys played Frontlines, right? Of course.
Yeah.
Yo, have you played the new Frontlines on Amiens and Forest?
Yeah.
Dude, I think that gives me like the vibes from Battlefield 4 Rush. Like the skill and the push is there, the flanks are there. I mean, it's just great. It's just great.
Right.
It's even better than the DLC Frontlines.
Yeah. Yeah, because you got to think about, okay, if I go this way, what can I do? Yeah, there's a whole discussion on that.
Because you can flank on Amiens, you can flank on the Forest.
Right.
You really can't flank out in the open, like in Rupture or you know, any of those
you
other
get
maps.
your head pop because of all the snipers and stuff. Yeah.
And even Fort de Vaux is very closed off from flank routes. So I really enjoyed playing Argonne Forest and Amiens Frontlines. And you guys watching right now, if you have not played it, yo, you have to. It is really good, and there's a lot of skilled players playing it. It's a blast. It's a blast. But it is a 2-map rotation, so it's a blast for like good 3 hours, and then you're like, okay, I think I want to go play a new map, you know?
Okay. I think maybe they could put the server info a little higher on the server browser. When you go to look at a server, like in the server browser, it tells you the map details, and then you go way down the server info, and then you could see the maps that are in the rotation. I'm finding myself having to do that so I don't get clickbaited on people putting official DICE server. They could put the info near the top so you can see, okay, these are the maps in that rotation, these are the game modes in that rotation, so people are knowing what they're getting. It's like buying something at a store that you don't even know what's in the box. It's like, come on, show me the contents inside.
Well, they now show you ping, and that's pretty important. So that was a big thing that we won as a community. We got some information, so that was a good thing from DICE. You know what I would argue? Can we get like a round timer? Like how much time has elapsed, for instance?
Yeah, I would really like to know before joining a match. And supposedly, didn't they do that in previous Battlefields? I think Izzy was saying something about it before.
No.
But it's like, the most annoying thing is you join a game and it's like 998 to like 870.
Oh, I just did it yesterday.
And as soon as you get there, it's like, well, I just waited, for the map to load for 4 minutes, and now I have to load another map. Like, that's so exciting.
I would like to see.
And especially for operations, it would be really nice to know kind of what you're walking into before you go into it.
So you're like looking. So you're saying like you're looking at a preview window of the map of the game you're going to join, and it would show kind of like a timer over top of the preview window or a score.
Well, what's the most important things about joining a server when you're clicking on it? You want to see how many people are in it, out of how many could be. You want to see what's your ping, and you want to see how close the game is to an end, right? I mean, what other information do you really want to know?
Yeah, I feel like that's the good info that you need there. And if they were to add, that this game is 95% complete or something. I mean, you don't have to give me like an exact score. Just give me some kind of
ballpark. Even if they did like
guesstimate.
25, 50%, 75, and like that's it, done. 100% done. Like that would be very useful. Like, just saying, it's hard to predict, and it probably is hard for them to kind of like set up, but you might be able to sit down and work all that out, and then that'd be some valuable information for anybody joining a server. But any last thoughts on what DICE should change based on these changes? I mean, I think operations are a little bit broken. They need to revisit that. But any last thoughts before we move on to the next topic, guys?
I think it's gotten a little bit better. Like,
oh yeah, it's gotten better.
I do want to say that I know that like I'm complaining about some of this stuff, but at the same point, like give credit where it's due. Like they have done a lot of the things that the community has asked for in that regard. You know, we got premium friends right now, so our community isn't really that divvied up. We've got, you know, more powerful server browsing tools. We've got
the ping now. That remember
yeah.
how long we've played Battlefield with no ping information?
Yep, you just pretty much had to go, you know, U.S. East or U.S. West. Okay, that's for me, you know, and assume that that was the place to go. But you know, I think they made a lot of improvements, especially having operations roll over now. But like you said, there's still things they can do, and hopefully they will continue to improve that as we go on.
Awesome. How about
Okay.
you, Mambo? Any closing thoughts before we move on?
I would still like to see a ability to find operations on 40-man count rather than 64-man count. I did see it in the quick join menu that you could join an operations 40-man. I don't know if it's playing me like Google does and remembers your last games that you played and then shows that on your home screen. I don't know if they're doing that, kind of like oh, this guy shops for this, this, and this. Let's advertise to him this data. Okay, join a 40-man operations on the front page of my home screen on Battlefield 1. Maybe they're doing that, but I would prefer to have the option in a server browser, like I think most of us would, for operations in the server browser. Bam, 40-man. I want to find a 40-man operations because that gives me the ability to flank. You got map knowledge, you got more skill there, in my opinion. Than the 64, it's kind of like you're constantly being suppressed. So then you peek up and you kill about 4 or 5 guys and you duck that back down. To me, it's more of a farming the kills kind of game rather than really working on flanking. Like you talk about the new front lines, you really work on your skill on, okay, my map knowledge and my gun and their ability and what they got against, you know, the whole cat and mouse kind of thing that you do when you think about flanking. I know, Flack, you just put out a new video about flanking, I think. I think I've seen that in your videos. Was that you that put out a video on flanking?
I don't think
Something.
so.
Yeah.
Somebody
about
did.
flanking. I really like the ability to flank. And if a 40-man operations is in a server browser, that's a win in my book.
They should both be there. All right, awesome, guys. We're going to go straight to the next topic. The next topic is by your boy Mambo down here. He says, night map impressions, any changes needed? Let's talk night map, guys.
All right. So the night map, you guys have been playing it. If you haven't played it, you definitely should play it. I think it's one of the better infantry-only map. Well, it's not infantry-only, but it seems like it's the old Grand Bazaar of Battlefield 1. When I think of limited tanks, limited fluff, more ground and pound, I really like the map. I wish that the ability to be able to shoot the flare that would mark an objective that your team is going to attack. I know Flack put out a video showing the locations on the map and when they are up. I don't know if it's when the light is red it's able to shoot.
Yes,
or
when the light is red it's able to shoot. But I've since done a little bit more testing, and even though the light is red, you won't be able to fire the rocket if the person on the enemy team in the same area has just fired the rocket. So you actually have to like wait a little bit and then it'll let you do it. But it's so only one can be active at one time. But I still think that's really neat. Like the entire concept, like anything that makes a map more interactive, I think is great, which is the reason I love Levolution, you know, anything like that where it's like, oh, I have, you know, the ability to interact with the map to do something. I think that's a lot of fun.
That's cool. What do you think, Echo? You liking Nivelle Nights? Your impressions?
You know, I was listening to a video, and I think it was a Westy video, where he kind of went in and said there's apparently no operations coming for the 2 night maps planned, and I was a little disappointed.
I feel like there's gonna be, you know,
You think
in a post on Twitter, and Battlefield since deleted it. I'm not sure why.
Exposed.
Yeah. Battlefield actually mentioned both Nivelle Nights and Priesta Tour, and you know they said, "quote unquote," own the night, and the O and the N in own the night were capitalized. and nothing else was. So it made it a proper name for something.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay, so maybe that's the operation's name, Own the Night.
that's what I'm thinking now. They haven't mentioned anything about there being another operation yet, but you look at it, it's like, well, kind of read between the lines, like they made that a proper name because there was no reason to do that unless they have some kind of intent to do that. But it's the first 2 night maps. You would kind of figure, people would like to play both of those
and
maps
it's
together.
2 of them, so you would think that they would come together and make an operation. But I thought about the layout of the map, and a lot of Battlefield 1 maps are linear in its structure, very long. This map is very box-esque, And one of my comments.
You think that, but playing it, have you played it on Frontlines?
Once or twice, and it was like a spanking. Either I got spanked or the other team spanked, and that's it.
It's fun on Frontlines.
Yeah,
and
it is.
What I really like about the Frontlines game mode is that you get, like, it totally opens up your understanding of the maps. Like, in regards to you're playing it, and you're like, I didn't even know that this part of the map was back here. Or I didn't know that this part of the map could actually have interesting combat situations on it.
Well, what I like about Frontlines on Nivelle Nights is it actually puts you in the realm of what they were fighting at that time. You actually have to use the trenches. If you don't use the trenches, your head is popped. And it helps you get flank routes. Let me go down this trench to down that trench so I can get behind them on this and attack that flag. The trenches work in Frontlines on operations. The trenches don't really work as much on Conquest because everybody's running to different flags, so you use them intermittently. But on Frontlines, you really got to use the trenches. I like that. Yeah.
I tell you, one thing that I'm liking about Nivelle Nights is also, like, you guys know that I pretty much play Assault all the time, right?
Yeah.
What I really enjoyed, and I was doing it for this video that I made yesterday. I had to use the Calibri because I was talking about the history behind the name of a Calibri skin. But I was using, actually I was doing it for that too. I was using the SMLE carbine with a little optical sights on it.
Yep.
And I mean, on that map, it perfectly fits the range for that weapon. And I don't really use the bolt action weapons all that much, but I was just destroying stuff on it, and it was really neat to see how, to a T, that playing that map, it definitely suits certain guns. So using the infantry variation of the SMLE on that map was a lot of fun, and that map exposed me to something that it's like, oh, I didn't know I could have that much fun with a bolt action weapon.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun to play, and like I said, it was perfectly suited to it. So it was real neat.
So what game modes can you play on the map right now? Frontlines, Conquest.
Is there a domination on there? I haven't tried it.
I have not tried domination. If there
Guys
is
in
one.
Somebody in the chat can.
Yeah.
Tune
Did
in.
anybody play domination or maybe even TDM on this? Because I don't know if there exists.
Yeah, me neither.
Because I want to comment on Conquest, because I felt like we were playing a bunch of games of Conquest on there. I played it like for 3 hours straight, just Conquest. And there seems to be like a mentality of like, yo, guys, let's all mob an objective. And it was just somehow, it just became a thing. Like everybody would go mobbing.
It's so fun though. Like not to be in the mob, but to run into a mob on that map. Like it is fun. Dude. No, it is awesome because
it is a mob.
Like you're playing, you're trying to defend a point, and then all of a sudden there's like you see them come over the hill.
A brigade.
It's just like there's 8 guys coming towards you. You're like,
I've had 3.
I guess it's just
I've had a whole enemy team go to one flag.
Yes, yo, literally.
I'm like, whoa, there is 32 players coming at me.
Yeah.
Run.
Bloodhound 752 confirms that there's Rush It on Nivelle Nights as well. I haven't played Rush on there. But I was going to say, not just the enemy team. I've had my team. We were down, we were losing, and they're all just mobbing around, all staying together. So when everybody goes, they'll cap the flag, but everybody else, like, is not defending anything else. So my enemies were destroying us. And I kept saying, like, yo, guys, split up. Stop doing this. I would go other directions all by myself. Maybe
Yeah, because you
with
will
my
actually lose the match. If your
yeah,
team keeps doing that, you will lose the match because nobody's
exactly.
capturing other flags. Yep.
The
Yeah,
mob gets destroyed by a tank. Vehicles on night maps destroyed it for me. I don't know if they destroyed it for me. I like the fact there's only one.
Yeah.
That's big in the chat saying that. I think that's a nice thing that they did that. It's very like Mambo said. It's kind of infantry focused, but there's that one tank, and it does throw a wrench in the whole idea of what the map is like. I feel like it's pretty balanced for that part.
yeah. I like the hills, the up and down aspect of it, even though
Hmm.
you're running in sometimes I like to run like what I call the triangle offense on operations. I mean on Nivelle Nights, where you go from the B, the C, and the D flag. I make my team kind of do this whole triangle run. So we stay tighter, we get more action. I don't know if anybody else has done the triangle offense. I call that the triangle offense because Phil Jackson for the Chicago Bulls used to do that. And it actually keeps you getting more points. It helps you get a squad more. And that's because I played it so much that now I know how to play that map. I only play inside. It keeps action going. Try it sometimes. Next time you fire up Nivelle Nights Conquest, try running just the center. I call it the triangle offense. B, C, and D. You'll have a lot of fun.
We got Raw 0414 in the chat saying Nivelle Nights is not fair for people who own a regular PS4 because the Pro has a huge advantage in 4K. I don't play it in 4K, and I get killed. I am on a Pro, but on a 1080p, and I get killed in the dark sometimes. Like, whoa, snap! I would have seen this guy and would have retaliated, but I got had because it's dark and I couldn't see.
See,
But
I really like that aspect of the map. Like, it is fun for me, especially around the St. Beth Cathedral that's there. Like, because it's dark and you can hide in that corner. I've had so many things happen
People
on
running
that
over
church.
you.
No,
Yeah.
like somebody just runs by me and I just like come out of the shadows and like and then like drift back into the shadows. It's a lot of fun to do that on that map. But
Right.
I will say that was one of the things I was really pleased about from when it went from the CTE to when it went to live in the game. That they really toned down the brightness that was out there and made it.
It was brighter in CTE. I've had
Yeah,
people say they want it to be
way
darker.
brighter.
Really?
Like, it could be darker for me. That's fine. You know, I appreciate that there is actual opportunity to kind of sneak around on this map, and you don't get that in the other ones because it's, so bright. So
plus, like, in Battlefield 4, you have everyone can put a infrared scope on anything. And
mhm.
here you got none of that, and it's very cool. I also like the touch, and I think this was a video I watched on YouTube. Not sure who it was, but it was a touch on either Flak or Westy. I'm not sure, but it was like you guys were talking about that the German side had like electrical lights.
Right. They had
And
generators.
the French had like just fires because it was just kind of more makeshift. And they
Yeah.
go in and they do that. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I would not have known about this because I just played the game, right? But listening to the videos and learning about the history of it made me appreciate the map a little bit more.
Yeah,
Right.
there's a lot of things that are like that in that particular game there. But that was another thing. I thought, hey, it actually it makes it easy so you don't get turned around as well. And that's something I was kind of concerned about at first. It was like, okay, how do I determine what side of the map that I'm on? How do I know
You know
which
what they
lines are
could
the
have
French
done?
lines and the
DICE
German
could have done
lines?
with those lights. They could have made the lights the ability to shoot them out for a little bit, like in Operation Locker or whatever in Battlefield 4, where you could shoot the lights out and then they would come back maybe like 2 minutes later or whatever. That'd be cool if you could shut down the generators on the German side if you infiltrated
Right.
there.
I was going to say maybe for the German side only because, fire.
Yeah, I would really like that, and that kind of goes to again the more interactivity of the maps.
Right.
But that is something I am disappointed when I get on that map and I'm like the enemy's all around me. I want to stay hidden, and there's a light shining right in front of me and you can't knock it out, which is frustrating because I think weren't you able to do that in the game single player?
I don't know.
I think you
You had
were.
to turn off the light in order to sneak in or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always go running and gunning, man.
I like the new sneaking aspect.
Come on, they're AIs. They're so dumb. It's just headshots all day. But
Right.
no. I think it's a cool idea. And as we once mentioned, hopefully Dice is listening. We want a canteen as a gadget. So we'll be able to pour it on the French fires, and or you see one of your boys, he's on fire, so he hits the ground and he's trying to roll, stop, drop, and roll.
Oh.
So you go straight to him and you drop a canteen.
Put him out.
Come on.
Right.
Let's see. Now, historically, you'd have to be careful because the French had 2 canteens, and one of them was not water, so you don't want to pour the wrong canteen on them.
How did they know which one's which, though, Flag?
They were different shape, technically. But.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Wow.
man, too much. Any
Here's
closing
some water.
thoughts?
I meant gasoline. Oh.
Any closing thoughts on the map itself? Like, what do you guys feel? Is it a, if you had to give it a grade, did it achieve an A, or is it a C because you tried Jimmy?
Yeah.
I really enjoy the map. I'd give it like a B plus. There are some areas, and it's just inherent to the map that it's like, oh, I have to, run for 30 seconds to this part of the map. But it's just because, I'm doing that because I want to throw off the enemy team, or because, oh, that's the only other objective I can go towards that's being threatened right now. Generally, I haven't had any real blowout kind of losses or wins on that map, which has been nice.
There's been blowouts for me.
Oh, has there?
Yeah.
Well, I know my experience on the map has been pretty positive.
Cool.
And
I give it an A.
It does provide a lot of variety to what we currently have in Battlefield 1, and I don't think that can be overstated.
Right.
Yep. All right.
So Mambo is an A?
Yeah, I give it an A, man. I like the infantry gameplay with limited ability for extra and fluff like tanks and stuff like that. It makes you focus on your gunplay, but I love the airplay as well. So like Flack said, this is variety, and anytime you bring variety to a Battlefield game, you're going to win on that. So I like it. Now you've played the Next Night map already, haven't you, Flack? Priest de Tahur?
I actually have not
no
played
one's
it.
played that.
Really?
It's been up on CTE, but I haven't played
Right.
it.
Oh, okay. Oh,
I've watched
that-
people
that's
play
been on
it.
C- Oh, that's right. That was on CT. That's the one that looks like Amiens, right?
Yes.
Right.
And I've been wanting
sounds
to
exciting.
because it's
I
got
want to
some
know
really,
how
really
that
neat history.
plays in comparison to Nivelle Nights, being in the countryside, Priest de Tahur going to be in the city in the nighttime. How is that versus? I sense a lot of corner campers are going to be coming out of the woodworks on Priest de Tahur. Like you're going to be having people in every corner. Are they going to make the second floor accessible like they do in Amiens?
Yeah, they probably will.
Or you're going to have people.
You're actually able to climb on some of the roofs in Priesthood Tour.
Yeah.
Really?
But it's only in particular parts of the map. So
Interesting.
It's not terrible.
I kind of want to side with Mambo. I think it is an A, but for me it's not an A because the way it just solely plays out. But it's more speaking as to why Flack kind of threw out there that he wants to throw it some praise is because it's so different. People clamored for a true trench warfare kind of thing, and I feel like it did deliver that. You got the two systems, and then you got the no man's land. And there's an interesting church in the middle. There's that Chartreuse Sea, right? Destroyed in the middle, and it is good. It is good. And there's like a little town and with a bridge. I mean, the whole design aspect of it, I enjoy a lot.
Yeah.
I want to see what it would look like in operations, if it's at all possible. I would hope that they actually consider it. But I like the darkness of it. It's much darker than I thought it would be. I really thought they're gonna dial down, but they dialed up, and it's a blast. It is a blast. But right now, people need to stop hurting on Conquest. All right, just split up a little bit.
Bring them all to me. It's fine.
Okay.
All right. You
So
guys-
segueing
guys in the
from
chat-
the
Right, I'm
Nivelle
sorry.
Nights. You want to segue into what else has changed since we've gotten Nivelle Nights? We've now seen a new battle pack system. You want to go into that?
Yeah, we'll do that. So the next topic that we're gonna go into right here, I chose to talk about the thoughts on the new battle pack system. We've gone over a bunch of things talking about battle packs, and DICE has once again changed their whole stance on it. It's quite different than what it was. Instead of random, I guess I'll go in and dive and explain it. Now you earn certain amount of points, which are questionable. We don't know how many points you're earning, but you're earning them. And the progression bar fills up to X amount of unknown points, and eventually you get a battle pack. So that's the new system. And my question to the discussion and people in the chat is, can it be improved? Can it be improved? So we're going into that next segment here. Thoughts on it, guys? Can we improve it?
I did a video before they fixed it.
Oh yeah,
About
it's broke. That's all I see.
And what could we do? Because before they hot fixed it, and some of the people here in the chat probably don't even know that there was an issue with it when it came out.
Right.
Because I got some comments after they fixed it on the actual video that was made about it. You know, really.
You don't know what you're talking about,
yeah,
man.
Exactly. So many
Bro, you was
things.
dumb.
I bet that's what they sound like too. But before it got fixed, it was like you could have a really great match, like 25,000 points, and you would fill that bar up like about a 16th.
Dude, I was gonna do straight up math. I was gonna bring a ruler and start like looking at like percentages.
Yeah, you know? I looked at it, I was like, oh, this is not good, because I just knew things were going to go south from there. But kudos to DICE for fixing that really, really quick. Like, it was only like that for a few hours before they fixed it.
No, it was out there for a day. That was a solid day.
Hey, a day is still not bad in terms of a lot of that stuff. But, you know, people were really, really, really upset about it. As it currently stands, where, you know, you have a good game, 25,000 points, you get probably a third or sometimes halfway through that bar, and that's really nice. Yeah, I've had a couple games that have done halfway on that bar just from one game. But you know, I'm told again, and that is one thing I wish they would communicate a little bit more. I'm told that it's based not only on game completion, but also your experience. And I'd really like to know, you know, what factors into what. And
what experience are they talking about? You earning XP?
I believe so. And so that would give you another reason to then pursue things like medals, or to go for ribbons, because it actually helps contribute faster to your receiving a battle pack. But again, it's something they haven't really communicated, that if in fact it works that way. So it's been a little bit frustrating. But, you know, it certainly is nice to play Battlefield 1 and know when your next battle pack is coming. Yeah, and have it not be like 20 games down the road. You're like, okay, I've got to play about one more game and I'll get a battle pack.
I think so ultimately
two to 4 games, probably on average 3 to 4 games. For a battle pack, and I think that's really quite reasonable compared to how the system was before.
I think when you put it that way, the most important, the good thing of the change that's happened is the fact that you can't predict when you're gonna get a battle pack. It was never fun to just be like, I'd play one night of streams and a bunch of my friends would join me, and I see them on the bottom, like my boy $1, he would get one like every single other match. I'm like, what is going on? And $1 would just laugh in the mic like, yeah, you know, I got battle packs. And I'm like, no battle pack in 3 days straight. I felt like battle pack blue balls here, you know? Like, it was...
Can you say that on your own stream, Echo? I feel like that's questionable, but no, I had like a week and a half.
Clean stream.
I had like a week and a half with no battle pack.
Yeah, oh yeah, it would be like crazy amounts of time. You know what though? But I like the fact that you can basically now know. But I want to go into the whole idea of what I do not like about this whole change. I hate the fact that they're not transparent about the way that you can earn these battle packs. You don't see a amount, like if it says 5,000 BP points, battle pack points, I don't know, battle points, whatever you want to call them. If you need to make a third scrap, now we have scraps, we have war bonds, we're gonna have BP points, we have XP, like, come on. But I need to know, I need to see something like, all right, I need to earn 5,000. All right, I did this, I got 300. Why is DICE being so vague? I don't like the vagueness.
It's almost like they didn't know which direction they wanted to go. So, do we use war bonds as currency? Do we use battle pack points as currency? Battle points as currency? It's almost like they didn't know what currency system they wanted to use for the game.
It's bizarre for a game to have so many different systems in one. It's not all unified. Right. And my criticism of the whole battle pack system as it stands is it's a step in the right direction. Don't get me wrong. I like seeing that you can get battle packs through your effort. But I still think that there's some fun to be said in a little bit of luck. Look at Rainbow Six's alpha packs. You have, let's say in the first, you have a 20% chance of getting one if you play one round. You didn't get one? Okay, now you have a 40% chance of getting one. And then you have a 60, then you have an 80, and eventually even the unlucky dog will get that final battle pack. But sometimes you get luck. Like, imagine you sitting there and it says 20% chance of you getting one, you get one. You're just like, oh man, we just hit the jackpot, right? Brings a little bit of fun into it. I did see a little... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to agree with you on that point in particular, where you're talking about it being fun.
Right.
Where you kind of have that unpredictability in there, and unfortunately, that's something that we did lose with the new system. But one of the comments that I got quite a lot on the first video about the battle pack system being broken, a lot of people were saying, well, why can't we have a little bit of both? You know, why can't you have something where it's like, okay, yeah, you're going to get a battle pack at this designated time, but still kind of have a surprise, you know, amount of battle packs for some people.
So two different systems, right? Like,
kinda, and you know, some people would look at that and say, oh, that's probably a little bit too generous. But you know, I do miss actually in some ways the randomness of the previous battle pack system.
Remember when we discussed the battle pack system, where we were talking about they should give you something to strive for, and we talked about maybe not making it for battle packs, but making it for scraps, and later you can use scraps to buy battle packs. And we were just saying like, oh, top medic in this round will get this prize, you know, and maybe make 3 things. And that goes back to Mambo, you mentioned it before we were streaming, is the fact that now this whole change has happened. We don't have the end of the round highlights anymore.
Yeah, that's what Reddit, if you look at Reddit, everybody's lighting up the Reddit. I know they threw down comments in Flak's video about, okay, great, we got a new progressive battle pack system where you can see your countdown to your next battle pack. But what happened to the highlight reel? What happened to showing who did what? So I was thinking about that, Echo, and how we could keep what we got, and how they show the ace squad on the screen, but they need to have a little cloud next to each person, say highest KD, best medic, most resupply. They could do a little cloud next to each person of what they did as the ace squad to show this is your highlight. You know what I mean? To kind of...
That could be cool.
You know what I mean? As a way to bring back not only the highlights, because now we got this new ace squad thing that we haven't talked about.
And each of those players probably had to get one statistic that's out there. That's
so show a little cloud, best medic, best KD, most vehicle destroys.
Right. They already do that for you in the squads thing. Remember when the squads, and it would show you best whatever. And they probably can go individually and just pull up some statistic that was good. Yeah, sure. But you know what? I wanted always things to not just be like, oh, you know, people are clamoring to just get a little bit of, I don't know, 2 seconds of fame or whatever. It's a little silly, but it's cool. But it would be nice to get something for it. So I like that DICE is really thinking about making battle packs based on skill, right? Because if you're a skillful player like Flak, you were saying, in 2-3 games you can get a battle pack now, apparently. Because they went on and changed it. I also often wonder about that kid. You know, he's a 10-year-old kid. He loves Battlefield, but he's not good. And now he has to wait how many days to get a battle pack because he's just not good? Kind of a bad look, DICE. I mean, I'm all about having fun for everyone. And you don't have to be an A squad player to get something fun. So there should be a little randomness in the battle packs. They gotta make that comeback. But start rewarding people with highlights. Give them something.
Yeah, and like Mambo was saying, that whole highlight system right now is like, I'm so torn between it, because it's like, now you've got best squad. And I think that that's great to reward better team play. And, you know, just if there's one squad that's like ruling the battlefield, like, you should recognize their ability to team play off of one another. At the same point, it kind of heavily weighs it towards the winning team, because very rarely do you have like best squad on the losing team.
I've seen it several times. I've been gypped off. I was mad. I'm like, how did they get A squad? We won. We got best this, and didn't get to A squad. I'm like, what? There's the ambiguity again.
That's interesting, you know, but I would say it probably is skewed towards a better team. Let's face it, you know, a better team will have an easier time to have a squad or not. I don't think so. But you know what? I want to kind of shift the ideas here. I just want to throw a little idea, because they came out with the whole best squad, and you got the squad thing, and you see the full player models, and it got me thinking. I think DICE is setting up to do customizations for soldiers.
You think so?
Why does Rainbow Six have the end of round, you see me with a gun standing, because they want to sell you the elite skin? I think DICE is posting up for them to finally put soldier customization in the game.
Well, they do a good job at showing what character model you are at the end of round. Like, if I'm airman, A squad, it shows me in the airman outfit. I'm like, oh, dope, I'm the airman. You was the fire dude. You're the actual freaking fire dude at the end of the round. So kudos to DICE for doing that, showing the actual player as you were at the end of the round and showing those character customization models. That they did a good job on that.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with Echo there on the thought process behind doing best squad that particular way. And if that is the case, that is really, really exciting.
It is.
And I asked Andrew Galata at EA Play, because he was talking about, you know, specializations for your characters, or for your you know, I guess for when you play Battlefield 1, right? And I asked him, you know, does any of this include customization for, you know, your character model, personalization items, that kind of stuff? And the response I got was,
just silence.
just
silence speaks volumes.
Silence and a smile.
Right.
And he's like, I can't say anything about that, but you know, I can say that we will have specializations.
Confirmed.
So, you know, he did not say anything about it. It's, you know, me just reading body language there.
Yo, everybody go on Twitter right now. What's his name? Confirmed
Andrew
customization.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I really think that, you know, that would do very well for Battlefield 1 in particular. You know, you also have to look at it from the point of view of EA, where EA wants to sell those battle packs. They do, and there are a lot of people saying, oh, I think DICE really had it set up where it was going to be like, that's all you were going to get was a tiny little sliver at first, and then everybody rioted, so they were like, oh, I guess we can't be this greedy, and we need to, you know, give them no. But it's like, if you want people to purchase battle packs, I mean, you know, skins for the weapons are a cool way of doing it, but there's just something about, you know, personalization for your individual character that is just way more appealing than the weapons, you know. And
right.
I think if they're able to do that, that would do very well for them in that regard, and would certainly interest people more in battle packs. So, you know, not only do you have kind of the silence and the smile there, Echo, but you've also got just the logic and business sense behind it. And it's like, if they started to offer that stuff, people will play that stuff.
Yeah, I think Flak, even if it's limited, like they give you a choice of helmet colors, green, brown, red, white, something, and then choice of I don't know, bayonet colors,
They
choice
probably
of
won't go that far. You know, I don't think that Battlefield is gonna go that wildly into the whole color spectrum. You're not gonna see zebra skin on yourself, on your character. I doubt it, unless it's got some World War One real.
Give, give me like a kilt and like personalize the.
They were just talking
the
about a
target
kilt in the
colors.
chat because apparently there's a squad screen bug. Almighty Ben says you could be a British soldier with the coat of a German support. I haven't seen this, and it looks like a kilt.
It's actually really funny.
Yeah, all right. I mean, you know, there's always some bug somewhere, and then it'll get squashed. I mean, kilt hype will die down. But I think that's something that's coming with these battle pack changes. I just wanted to see, like, if they do you really think that they would go in and, I mean, I think it's in their benefit. Do you think it's in the DICE's benefit to disclose the actual amount of points you're earning and how much points you earned in a time? Is that important to you two and maybe the chat? Because it's important to me, you know?
It's something I would like to know. It's like I want to know how it works so I can better play to that system. You know, and for a lot of people out there, I'm going to guess the answer is no, because they're like, I see a bar moving and that's all I need.
Yeah.
You know,
What? I mean, I just had a crazy idea. Now, hear me out. So I want to reward players who get the top dog accolades, the ones who used to get featured at the end of the round for X amount of stuff. But I've always feel that it's unfair that you don't know what you're really playing for. Like, at the end, they're going to show the guy with the best KD, but I didn't know that, you know? But I say, at the beginning of every round, 3 things. You make 3 random things, like, and you have a pool of, I don't know, 15 different accolades. Guy with the most KD, guy with the most heals, most supplies, all, you know, things that promote squad play. But if you have the battle pack system where you can tell how many points you're getting, right? You can tell how many you're getting towards that battle pack. At the end, say this person gets 150 plus points towards the battle pack because he got the accolade. That's cool. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, like you're telling them at the beginning of a round, if you do this,
right,
then you get more points toward your battle pack.
You get plus 300 or a multiplier times 2 points. You know what I mean? Like, and then you would see, like, imagine. I've used this example before with the first aspect that we thought of this. Like, imagine they say, oh, the guy with the most revives. You're going to see a lot of revives that round. People are just going to run around trying to get revives because they want battle packs. It's fun, you know?
They're doing something with Star Wars Battlefront that I heard in X Factor's video about squad play. And they do it in GTA, whereas if you're in close proximity of your squad, you gain more points.
Wow.
If the beginning of the round would say you get this accolade for actual squad proximity play, you may see better squad work. You know, like, I really enjoy looking at my mini map and seeing green dots. If I look at my mini map and I don't have my squad with me, chances are if I die, I'm not getting revived. So that makes me want to run with the squad longer, right? And if you run with a squad, you're gonna win more if you run with a squad versus not running with a squad. So maybe they should reward us more for proximity to our squad.
Right,
something like
that's
that.
cool. I'd like to see that accolade in there.
That's
Doesn't have
coming
to be
in
just
Star Wars
most revives,
Battlefront.
all that. So if it's coming in Star Wars Battlefront, that means it's doable.
Right.
Would be
Why
cool
don't they
to
give
see.
us more points for rolling with our squad? They would incentivize rolling with your squad, right? They do it in GTA. They do it in Star Wars Battlefront 2 coming out. Let's put it in Battlefield 1. I don't know. It's my thoughts on that.
Well, we got people like Thunderstruck 4K saying, yeah, I'll be honest, I started playing more BF1 because I was getting more battle packs. It's fun.
There you go.
There you go. It brings people back. It's something. It's enjoyable. You know, the other thing I was gonna say is sometimes I know their skins aren't the greatest. Sometimes they're a little bit like a little lackluster. I mean, the specials are all just about poop. Some distinguished, and usually a gun has maybe 1 or 2 skins that are like, whoa, these skins are actually worth, you know, playing for. And you know, maybe DICE can dress it up a little bit. Make nice little fancier ones, and you know, people enjoy that more. So they do have to up their game on like nice looking skins for guns, but they really have to go in and make it like a fun thing to get these things and more transparent. So I think that's
and
awesome.
The last video that I did, I looked at some of the names of the skins, and I looked at what they mean historically, like if they have a particular name. And one of the reasons I did that is because I thought that was a fun thing that they did for those skins, was to name them something in particular. Where you've got the M1907 SL, there's a skin for it called the Blue Devil, and it's named after the elite French Alpine troops. And it's like, oh, that's kind of cool that they named it that, because it gives you kind of an incentive to look a little bit deeper into the weapon. And part of the reason that I actually equip it on the gun is because it's like, oh, I like that's named after that particular group of soldiers. So I like that, but I do agree also with you in that there are a few other things that they could do to make the skins a little bit more different, because admittedly a lot of them are kind of like copy and paste almost, it seems. Where you look at one skin on one gun and you're like, oh, isn't that the same camouflage pattern from this other one?
It is.
I would like to see more variety in that regard.
Right, especially even with the specials, they just copy and paste them on different ones. All right, I want to close off this discussion on Battlefield Battle Packs before we move into listener emails. But I have something interesting in the chat, and it made me think about Thunderstruck again was talking about puzzle pieces. Now, how have you guys been doing with your luck on puzzle pieces? Because mine is horrendous.
I've been doing real well with squad XP boosts.
That's not what we're looking for,
Nothing with puzzle pieces really.
What's up with that?
I've got the Kirky knife, the little bill hook Kirky knife. I don't have the saber, and I don't have the other one. Yeah,
I've had people on stream.
One puzzle piece for my saber.
I've had people on stream tell me, I got the saber, I got this thing. And I'm like, bro, I have one piece for the saber and one piece for this Kirky thing and two pieces for the other one. That's it. I haven't gotten a piece in feels like years.
Well,
I can't complain because I got the bronze land ship skin the other day. So I actually got one of the super rares.
I've never gotten a super rare.
Yeah, I want a white horse, dang it.
Can't you already have a white horse?
No, I don't have a white horse. I want a white horse. I want silver. Hi-ho, silver away. I want that.
I think you can have a white horse, man. Well, no, wait. I have a black horse.
That'd be cool, too.
I call him Midnight.
I want a freaking white horse. I don't get a white horse. White horse is 10 stars with a horse kit. I've got 10 stars on my horse. I've almost got freaking...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
learned something from
you. You got it. When you highlight over your horse rider guy, I think you can pull up with an R2 or L2 and you can change colors. It's really obscure. It's obscure.
Oh, that's why.
That's why I was confused. I was like, I didn't think those were in battle packs. I thought those were for.
You've had two pairs of gloves this whole time.
All right, so that does it. We're gonna end our discussion, the panels, the chosen topics we chose to talk about today. Now, before we move on to our final topic, or section of the podcast. We're going to do listener mail first. We've got a couple of emails. Actually, we got 3 emails from you guys watching the recording. Maybe you're on YouTube, maybe you're on iTunes. But the email is the Let's Talk Podcast @gmail.com. Just spell it all out, all in one thing, the Let's Talk Podcast @gmail.com, and you can send us your thoughts on maybe what we've discussed, maybe things we've missed, maybe your ideas that you have to make this game better, because ultimately this is the point of the podcast. It's not just to go in there and complain about and talk about what's wrong with the game, because there's always something wrong with every game, but what we want to do is present some good ideas for DICE to actually make this game much better than it is, because I don't know, I'm a true fan, and my friends here are true fans, and people who join in are real true fans. And that's the point, right? You try to get together and make a game much better than what it is. So we're gonna go into our email section. We will try to make it quick, give quick answers, so we can then go into the live chat session answers. If you're watching a recording, that is just the audio version. You can't see the chat, but if you watch the video version of this podcast, you can see the chat right there, and you can see what everyone's saying as we discuss what we discuss. So moving on straight from our regular panel, we're going to go into emails. So I'm going to read off a couple of emails. So we got Matthew Lloyd sending us an email saying, "Hi guys, Matt from Australia. Love the podcast. I have a question mainly for Flak. Do you think they will do a Battle of Tannenberg map as one of the 2 unnamed maps on In the Name of the Tsar? Or will they wait for the Apocalypse DLC? Also, is there any special battles you would like to see in the future? As an Australian, I am looking forward to the Gallipoli map in the Turning Tides DLC and hope they make Australia and New Zealand as a standalone force." So Flak, why don't you tell us, I personally don't even know, what is this Battle of Tannenberg?
Well, Battle of Tannenberg happened in 1914, right? So it's one of the earlier battles in World War One. It did not go well for the Russians. I had talked about it in a previous video before, but it's something that certainly could be added in the Name of the Tsar. But one thing that I wanted to say about it, and it's interesting because DICE has kind of a history with this, that if it is added, it will most likely be an infantry-only map. So if it's not added in the Name of the Tsar, kind of the nice thing about building some of these factions into the game is that once we get to something like
Apocalypse,
for Apocalypse we might see, like one different map for each section of the world. We don't really know.
right?
But it's interesting because DICE has a bit of a history with this, where some of the earlier battles that were fought, most of those maps are done as infantry-only maps. So, for example, Verdun Heights and Fort de Vaux are infantry-only maps. And I actually spoke to, I believe it was on, what was a DICE dev, Valerian 48K on Twitter. But I talked to him in person, and I asked him, why no vehicles on those maps? And he said, well, they weren't really there at that point in time. So, we thought to ourselves, okay, well, let's just try and make these infantry-only maps. So I don't know if or when we'll get a Battle of Tannenberg-based map, but I would say if we do get one, it will more than likely be infantry-only. So I think that also plays into, how many vehicle-heavy maps do we have in the Name of the Tsar? Is there going to be space in there for an infantry-only map? I think that'll influence it. Same thing for Apocalypse when we get that. I certainly think it would be interesting to have in there. I'm curious to see when we'll get an announcement on the next 2 maps that are unannounced for In the Name of the Tsar, and I guess we'll know. I haven't noticed anything yet that kind of points to it, but it's certainly a possibility.
I was caught off guard by the announcement of the roadmap up to In the Name of the Tsar, the 8 maps between now and September idea. Are we confirmed that there's going to be 6 maps in the Name of the Tsar DLC? Or
yes,
Yeah, that's something that they've told us is now going to be like a change for moving forward, right? To add value to
Yes.
premium, which is great. I'm up for
Yep.
that. Can you at least explain to me, because maybe the viewers are in the same camp as I am. Was the Tannenberg battle like very bloody or something? That's why Matt is suggesting it should be an Apocalypse or something.
For the Russians, it was really, really bad. Like, they lost an entire army, basically, in this. Not necessarily like killed in action, but an entire army was encircled and then basically destroyed through either attrition or surrender. So it was really, really bad for them.
Wow.
And there was a lot of political infighting that had to do with it, and of like 2 generals that hated each other, and one of them was just kind of like, see ya, and left the other one to basically be encircled and destroyed. So it's kind of an interesting lesson in make sure you treat your workmates nicely, because you never know when you might need them. But it was a particularly bad battle for the Russians, and it really crippled some of their offensives for the rest of 1914, because they basically went on the defensive until the Brusilov offensive rolled around, and that was their last big push there that they had. So it was pretty big. It was, relevant for the Russians. Of course, when you're talking about involving the Russians in a World War I game, you've only got so many battles and years that you can choose from, because...
So it might be a possibility. I want to move on
certainly.
to Matt. First of all, Matthew, Lloyd, thank you so much for the question on via email. It's awesome. And we're going to move on to another question. This one's from Devin Fernandez, but Devin, your question, like you said, is a little bit lengthy, so I'm going to just chop into something that we're going to discuss, and maybe the part 2 of your question we'll discuss another time. It says, first, I love the podcast. Just want to say keep up the great work. Secondly, slightly long. He's got a whole question. Would appreciate if we read the whole thing, but it is quite long. So I'm going to go into the part that he talks about standalone maps. So with the release of Giant Shadow, Nivelle Nights, and Priestess of Her, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the possible standalone maps in the future. I've suggested the Battle of Tannenberg, Colonial Africa, and the first map from the Through Mud and Blood war story, Over the Top. Other options could also include Battle of Isonzo, Italians and Australian Hungarians, and a Battle of Belleau Wood for US Marines and Germans. So what I think Devin is trying to say here is just standalone maps. Like, what if DICE just threw one map out there, said, hey, this was a cool battle, and what do you guys think? Just because they are doing monthly updates, so they can give us one map a month, which is really cool, and I think a great thing to keep the community interested in the game and keep us all playing with something new each month. I don't think Nivelle Nights and Priestess of Her are standalone. I wouldn't consider them standalone. They're more of the
they're
DLC.
Yeah, they're included with the French DLC.
So I wouldn't, Devin, I wouldn't say that's the case, but I will say that Giant Shadow is the only standalone one we had, and it was when the DLC was so far out, they were like, let's give them a map,
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys think they're gonna do more of that in the future, Mambo?
Well, they give us the ability in Battlefield 4 to design a map, right? How about pick a battle and then let everybody in Battlefield fans vote on one particular battle, and then DICE developed a map based on our feedback. That would be my way of saying get community involvement.
And then just use the CTE to build up a map like they did in the first place?
There you go.
That would be pretty awesome, because if you guys don't remember, Battlefield 4 had a CTE project, Community Test Environment Project. It was called Community Map Project? That's what they called it? Yeah, and that map was phenomenal. It was like in a jungle. You had the M60 hipfire only with like fire shots. It was awesome. I used to just see a chopper and just rip it down, like Rambo style. It was great. And you had the homage to like Bad Company 1 with the grenades. It was cool. Mm-hmm. And I would like to see that. That'd be a great idea. And I would think that'd be towards the end of Battlefield 1. Like, for instance, I don't know, Battlefield 5, it is still slated out to come out, and it's DLC. There's no DLC in between that time, maybe 3-4 months. And they're like, yo, we're going to do something fun for you guys. I think that'll be at the end. Not until they finish their DLCs.
Yeah.
Right. But the ability to pick would be cool.
Yeah. For me, out of the maps that were, or the map ideas that were listed there, I would really like to see Belleau would be pretty neat. Partially because we didn't really get that many maps with Americans in it, and that is one of the real important battles for the Americans during World War One, and it was apparently like a really nasty thing. So it's something that would be interesting, and knowing the history of it, I would probably put it in with maybe something like Apocalypse, but again, we don't really know. And if not there, certainly, yeah, that would be a cool map to have as maybe a community map or a map for everybody to play. I think that would be cool.
All right, there you have it, Devin. Hopefully we answered your question pretty good. Next question comes from Travis. and says, what are some of your favorite only in Battlefield moments? And says, P.S. Thanks for the effort you guys put into making these podcasts. Listening to them makes my long commute bearable. All right, so Travis wants to know, only in Battlefield moments, what are some of your favorites, guys?
Headshots with the field gun.
Oh, you could get
Those
a
are the best.
headshot?
Yeah.
It says headshot?
Yeah, it even makes the ding. It'll go bing.
Oh,
You're like,
no.
oh man, that there's nothing left of that poor guy.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty cool.
It's really rewarding to do that when you're playing with the field gun and you're like hitting somebody from across the map and you're able to do that. It's so much fun for me because it's like you do it and you feel like you're like the god of skill. Like I was able to do that not with a sniper rifle but with a field gun. That's fun for me.
You know what?
Did you save the clip?
Oh, it's happened several times actually. So I'll routinely put them in some of the videos if I get one and you see me on a field gun. I often do that, but
if I'm gonna stay on the topic of field guns, you know what? There was a video. I know they featured a video of me shooting down a plane with a field gun, and that was totally accidental. That was totally accidental. They cut that out because then later on I was like, no way. I was like, I'm not even trying to do that, you know. And they cut it out like I meant to do it. But what I love doing on that field gun on Monte Grappa is shooting all the snipers. And I'm talking about I'm aiming so high, like hitting the mountain, and then this thing shoots and it just falls on these guys and they get a double kill or something. That's only in Battlefield, and it feels great and it's fun.
Are we talking about Battlefield 1 or all Battlefields in general?
He said only in Battlefield. I guess anything counts.
I had a moment in Battlefield 4's beta when they, you remember this thing called the Rendazook, where you go up and you jump out of one plane and shoot somebody out and then jump in their plane?
Oh.
I had a Rendazook moment on the beta for Battlefield 4 on the Siege of Shanghai tower, where I sniped a guy out of the chopper. Both guys, I sniped out of the attack chopper, ran across the floor, jumped off the high rise, skydived down, and got their chopper and flew off. That, to me, that was like, wow. I just did that in a beta. The game's not even out, and I was like, oh, I'm in. Battlefield 4, here we come. You know, so I was excited for that. So that was my Rendazook moment.
That's awesome. All right, so that does it for our emails. If you guys are listening, once again, I'm going to remind you that the email is the letstalkpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to address any of us, just a simple question, or you want all our opinion, you can let us know. And let us know what you think about the podcast. Maybe we can make improvements and other stuff. All right, so I'm going to move on to the last segment of this podcast. We have a few minutes to just have a discussion. All right, so you guys watching live, you've heard us talk about 3 different topics, and you've heard us talk about some interesting emails we've gotten. What are your thoughts? How are you guys? Maybe something we haven't addressed, maybe some questions you have to any of us. I remind you, if you have a question to someone specific, put an @ Echo Limits or Mambo B or Flakfire. If you have a question for all of us, put @crew, and we'll read it off and try to get you a nice answer. So this is kind of like what I like to call a chat session. Because the best part of doing something live is just straight up asking people is, hey, what do you think? You know?
Clay Lamb has a question, Echo.
Can you read it off? Because I don't even know what it is.
Clay Lamb says, what's up, friends? Do you all think that Turning Tides could be a only boats and U-boats map?
Like you get a ladder and you just kind of like climb into other boats?
Boat superiority, basically.
I did a video on this like a long time ago when I said they should have a battleship mode in Battlefield 1. Like once it came out that we were getting a Dreadnought, I was like, I want to see some Dreadnought on Dreadnought action. Like that would be really, really neat to see.
But I would like to see boarding. Yeah, like, fight on top.
Remember Battlefield 4 where you go on the boat, the aircraft carrier? You'd have to go in there and set the intercoms?
Yeah, Carrier Strike was what it was called, wasn't it? And that was actually kind of what I was basing that idea off of. But, I would really like to see, because we still haven't gotten air superiority yet. So I was looking, I was like, maybe we'll never get air superiority. But if we don't, I would really like to see something like naval superiority in turning tides. And especially if we had U-boats, that would be really neat to have. You know, we already know we're getting a destroyer. We've got dreadnoughts already. We've got a couple other smaller boats. We've got torpedo boats. We're getting the Y-lighters in the Russian DLC that's coming up. So you've got like a number of craft that are going to be
They're probably setting
available
up
at this
for
point.
the Gallipoli DLC, that Australian. They're probably gonna have a lot of naval stuff going on there.
Yeah, but I think it'd be real nice to have like a naval superiority map or one that only has boats. I think that would be a fun mode maybe to have. Maybe to have something that's along the lines of maybe what Midway Island was, if you guys remember that from one of the original Battlefield games.
Yeah, 1943, the remake too was great too.
I think that's kind of what we're going to get with
That'd be cool.
the Operation Albion map, because it's a grouping of smaller kind of islands. So,
Oh, yeah. I watched a History Channel thing on that, how they tried to take the island and they didn't get it, and then they tried again and they finally got it, but it was like so brutal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was the island worth it?
Yeah, right?
We have another question. This one is from Medicine Man. How about that Trump tweet? Am I right? Do you guys want to comment on politics? No.
No.
Nope.
It's a joke. Then we have another joke question. I'm gonna read them out because why not? Bloodhound says pineapple on pizza is a sin. I think pineapple on pizza is amazing. Flak?
It's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My favorite is a Hawaiian, but without ham. I like pepperoni on the Hawaiian.
I don't mind as long as it's
That's
got that
fair.
pineapple in it. And
Yeah.
pineapple is a gift from God. All right. It's
Yep.
the only fruit that can like maintain its when you cook it, it doesn't smush up. It's amazing.
Right.
We have a legit question now.
Ban him from the chat. He said unfollows. You don't
All
need
right.
to be here anymore, pineapple hater.
Zeus
Damn it.
Cannons asks Eklums, what do you think about how they added FOV on console? You know what? I mean, was there a game before Battlefield 1 that had console FOV?
I'm
I
sure
don't
there
think so.
were some, but it's something that I am so glad that it's in there. It's something.
Because-
One thing Battlefield 1 did well was giving you the ability to really tweak and personalize some things, and FOV was really important.
I think
Because-
it's great, yeah.
So I mean, some people put their FOV up to like maximum, where you can like see around corners basically, and that's frustrating for me. But at the same point, if you don't change the FOV, like I go and play other games, and it's like I feel like I'm looking through like a little box or
The
something.
best one was No Man's Sky. The FOV was like, I'm looking through binoculars. I'm like a racehorse, you know?
You're Clydesdale with the spook guards on their eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what though? But I feel like you got games now literally making that a thing. FOV on console. I think we're at this point. We're in 2017 where it's gonna just happen. I wonder if Call of Duty is gonna deliver on that.
On
Are they going to add FOV slider in? But I'm sure
I
the
doubt
next Battlefield will. Lawbreakers has it.
Yeah.
But you know what I like about Lawbreakers is their maximum is not ridiculous. I think Battlefield's maximum FOV is a bit ridiculous. They need
Yeah,
to-
it's
they need to not
a
let
little
people do
bit.
that.
Yeah.
And I'm also skeptical about increasing FOV on vehicles in Battlefield. It's a little bit cheesy, man. Come on, you're in a tank, you're already super protected. How in the world am I gonna ever flank you with a dynamite? It doesn't even stick to you. I'm totally screwed because the FOV will see me.
right.
So yeah,
Raw's got a good question that's a lot of discussion. Are we going to get a new Battlefield map on the 4th of July?
I
When
don't think
is
so.
the Priest de Dehur going to drop? Is it going to be
the
beginning of the
30th?
month?
The 30th.
End of the
come on.
month?
If that's the last day, if it's not, it's the 31st. I don't know what the last day is. They'll do
I
it.
think at this point we pretty much know anytime they say it's coming in this month, it's like, all right, what's the last day in that month?
Yeah.
Is it a Tuesday?
every time.
Don't plan
Yeah.
your birthday party or anything on that day, basically.
So July 4th is safe, like we know, because that's early in the month.
We got a question from Thunderstruck 4K says, what's the best FOV for BF1 on console? FOV. I think that's more like your preference.
Yeah.
Right.
I play default. What do you play, Flak? I play 55.
I'm up like 15 or 20 from the default. So I'm not like really crazy on it, but I got enough to where I feel like I'm not trapped in a box.
Right. I moved mine up just a little bit.
It's still to the point where it's like everything looks like it should. That's one thing I noticed where you get out to the crazy FOV, like it starts to warp stuff.
Stretches your screen.
It pulls me out of the immersion in the game, and I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
So
yeah, I can't watch streamers who take their field of view way up. I can't watch the streams. It gets me nauseous.
Yeah.
That too, because there's way too much movement. It does make some people nauseous. Me personally, I don't like when I see like a wall and then the wall starts to go bending like this because of my FOV. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I'm looking at a door and the doorway is like a funhouse mirror.
Right.
I know I could see more, whatever. I don't know. I just like to play the game. We need to have Fizzer on the podcast. He's got legit BF1 player. He's a great guy. Maybe we'll have him one time. There's a streamer in the house here with us today. How much longer will BF1 remain? Okay, so Lempara Nera has a great question. Says, how much longer will BF1 remain the main title for DICE EA with Battlefront 2? Will it still be actively supported until the next title? Interesting. If you guys don't know who Lempara Nera is, he's part of BF Nations, if I'm not mistaken, for the comp scene for Battlefield 1. So nice to have you as well in here. We got streamer and we got somebody pretty big in the community doing competitive stuff. You must be excited about the competitive announcement.
I'm sure he is.
But what do you guys think about that?
I think it'll still be supported, for sure. But I definitely think we're not getting another Battlefield in 2017. I think 2017, as much as Battlefield will still be supported, I mean they've got other DLCs that are going to come out, and from the looks of it, I mean personally, I was expecting 4 maps for the French DLC, and now they're like, oh, here, have 2 more. And then I was expecting 4 maps for the Russian DLC, and they're like, no, actually, there's going to be 6.
Right.
Oh, and you thought we were only going to give you 5 weapons? Well, actually, we're going to give you 11. Like, everything is pointing to me that it's like, yes, this game is going to be taken care of for, the next half of its life, right? Until we get another Battlefield title, probably in like 2018. But from the writing on the wall, reading between the lines, for me, it's like I'm not worried at all. Like I'm definitely going to be playing Battlefront 2, and I know that that's going to be a focus for DICE and EA, but at the same point, I'm not concerned at all based on what I've seen so far from Battlefield on the website, about premium, what they're doing, and premium friends and this and that. Like, they're really trying to give it some legs, and I hope that they will do that from the start on the next Battlefield title.
Right.
That they build it that way from the get-go.
It's not a track record.
It'll pay dividends.
Yeah, I think it will pay dividends. You're right, and it'll keep the community interested in it. I think I will be playing it unless something really huge comes out and it's just like, oh man, this is a blast, right? I mean, hey, there's that big thing now. Battlefield's DLCs will have to fight with big games coming out. Who knows?
Unknown
Maybe
Battlegrounds. You got Destiny.
You got Call of Duty. Who knows? I mean, if a great Call of Duty comes out, I'm man enough to admit it. I'll be like, that's good. I'm not a fan for the sake of being a fan. I'm a fan for the sake of this is the game I like to play. But ultimately, if they come out with something else, it's understandable. Now, that's where they put themselves in. Since Battlefield's not sort of annualized, they tried it with Hardline. A lot of people didn't like that. I still think Hardline was fine. But
I loved Hardline.
Yeah, and I can't think of how many people come to my stream and say Hardline was my first Battlefield. Yeah. But DICE, I guess, listen to the people who cry out the most, and so they're not making a Hardline 2 or another Battlefield as far as we know. So we got a long time to wait. We'll have to see what's going on. And I know, like Flax said, they'll probably support for a long time.
And I mean, you also have to look at too, because when is Call of Duty's release date?
November is. They all try to beat Black Friday.
November
Yeah.
3rd.
I mean,
think.
and you're looking here that we'll probably get In the Name of the Tsar. What's around late September?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's
Got that,
Destiny's
and then
release.
Turning Tides is going to be coming out, and I really think they're almost approaching it like, we're moving into like our second season of Battlefield 1. Like they're trying to build it into this thing, so it's like, like where the premium pass is kind of like a no-brainer, where it's like, look at all the content that you get. You can spend, let's be realistic here, like $80 on the next Call of Duty, because for whatever reason their edition of Call of Duty is going to be $80.
DLC, right?
No, they're not.
They're not.
And so it's like,
Activision's too greedy for that.
yeah, so it's
Everybody
like you can
gives
pay
EA a bad rep,
$120 for the premium edition of Call of Duty, or you already got Battlefield 1, get the premium pass and get basically an entire another game as part of it.
Right.
And if you're able to kind of construct it that way, I think a lot of people would look at it and say, well, Battlefield kind of has more stuff going on in it too. And I mean, because I saw some of the Call of Duty stuff from E3, and I looked at it, I'm just like, like I've just been spoiled by Battlefield. I'm like, where's the excitement and the moments and the vehicles and like the action? Because it's like what I saw was just people running around and doing the same little loops and engaging people one-on-one and this and that. And it's like, you know what? Maybe I'm just a Battlefield player now. I don't know.
It does start to seem a little funny when you look at Call of Duty. You're just like, oh, you're running the same engine from Xbox 360 days. Okay. With updated textures. All right. Like, have they ever innovated on their engine? Frostbite's been through a lot of innovations. It's a good engine.
Yeah.
Even the Unreal Engine has updated, where PUBG is now running on the Unreal Engine. The Unreal Engine's nice too. But yeah, the whole Call of Duty engine is like, I don't know what they're running the Destiny engine on. I don't know.
No, they have their
I think
own
that's-
thing.
I think that's on the Unreal Engine as well.
think
It
so?
does pretty good.
I thought they had their own thing because it was bizarre that Destiny was launching at 30 frames per second on everything, except for PC with 60.
Right.
Not even the new Xbox One X could play at 60 frames per
Yeah,
second.
that's just them dumbing it down. Yeah.
They just done the way they built that. I don't know. But yeah, that's an awesome question, and I think we're in for the long haul for Battlefield 1, and I know that they're gonna bring in a lot of content. They're gonna bring in a lot of changes. But like Flack said, I think the most important thing is everything you learn from going on forward and bringing new features must be in the new game, please. I don't know how to say it.
Well, and
Accumulator
I'm
was-
hopeful. I'm hopeful that we'll get that, because we did see a lot of stuff kind of carried over from previous Battlefield games in the past.
Mhm.
So, hopefully we will see that in the next Battlefield 1 game, where we get everything that we've been asking for here, and they added it in at the end, but then they carry it over to the next one.
Yeah, but they sometimes have a knack for cutting features. Like Accumulator said, I wish they put on their own leaderboards. Why take away
Right.
leaderboards? I don't know anyone saying that that's a bad thing. I don't know. But with that being said, there's a lot to discuss, and maybe we'll have episode 14 coming in 2 weeks, guys. I think we can wrap this up. Do you guys agree, Flack? Mambo, do you have anything else to add to the discussion, or we're just about short out of time?
No, I think we're good.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think
awesome.
in 2 weeks we should be at least, if we don't see a new map in 2 weeks, we're going to be definitely close to it. So looking forward to the next discussion in our podcast regarding the next night map.
The exciting
down.
thing about this podcast is you never know what DICE is going to change next. I couldn't tell you 2 weeks ago that they're going to rework Battlepacks and everything else. Like, it just
Right.
came out of nowhere. And the map rotations, just out
think
of
next-
nowhere.
Next week we'll be talking about community tracker, community missions tracker, because
I
hopefully
don't know.
there'll be something
Can
up.
we do next week predictions? Like next time on podcast. I don't know. We getting a flamethrower gun. Everybody gets one. Flak, what's your prediction? Like, it could be crazy.
Gun that shoots baguettes.
Baguettes. Mambo, please tell me the gadget with the canteen. Come on.
Oh
Prediction.
yeah, right.
100%.
My prediction would be smoke for the planes. The trail smoke, where you could put out smoke trails in the planes, so you
And
can have
spell
different.
things out.
Yeah, like Echo, PTFO, please.
Nice,
Something like
nice.
that.
All right, you heard it here first, guys. We're wrapping up the podcast. Thank you to everyone who's been watching this podcast live. Of course, we recorded it live. Then we have it on Flakfire's YouTube channel if you're commenting away. Awesome. I'll try to be there as well. And you can watch us on iTunes. Let's give them the sign-offs, guys, starting with my boy Flak. Where can they find you?
You guys can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/FlakFireGaming. Trying to do a bit more streaming here. Might do some on Twitch later, which is twitch.tv/FlakFire. And, we talked a lot about Battlepacks and skins, so if you're interested in the history behind some of the skins, I just started a new series on there, so you can check that out. That's over on the YouTube.
Awesome. And plug your Twitter, man, because your Twitter is fire. I love learning about this random stuff.
Twitter is fire. All right. I don't even remember what it is off the top of my head.
Isn't it just
Twitter? Yeah, it's at Flakfire Gaming.
Flakfire Gaming? All right. Because I love to keep up with you, because you're also in the community, always talking, and your gifts, they're on point.
Yeah.
Mambo B, hit him with the sign-offs.
Hi guys, we're ending up today's podcast. My name's Mambo B. You can check me out live streaming 6 days a week on twitch.tv/Mambo_B. I got a nice community over there. We run a lot of platoon work. Also do a little bit of the YouTube work. Not near as good as Flakfire, but I do keep it toward my Twitch community as kind of like the highlights. And I do some reviews on the E3. I pick my top 10. So you can check me out on YouTube as well. youtube.com/C/Mr. Mambo B.
Awesome. And I'm your host, Echo Limits, EKOLIMITS. Literally spelled that way on Twitch, on YouTube, on Twitter. That's where you can keep in touch when I'm not streaming or anything else. Thank you guys all for watching. Of course, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Hopefully, all of us will be here, and we'll see you then. All right, guys? Thumbs up. Thanks for watching. And I'm going to go into studio mode and transition everyone.